Most live venues remain closed in this pandemic, but one singer and actress who grew up here in New Jersey and made history on Broadway is bringing her voice to a virtual audience this weekend. News 12 New Jersey's John Bathke speaks with Ali Stroker in his continuing coverage of the pandemic's impact on entertainment.
I'm just a girl who can't say no.
And Ali Stroker couldn't say no to getting back on stage.
Musical theater. I'm going to sing some pop. I'll sing country, some standards.
Stroker will perform a concert to be streamed live from the Enloe Recital Hall on the campus of Kean University. Saturday's show, a rare chance for her to perform during this pandemic, even if there will be no audience present in the theater.
I miss performing so much. So to get to share a concert with my friends and my family and anyone else who wants to watch right now feels like such a gift.
I can't resist a Romeo in a sombrero and chaps.
The Ridgewood, New Jersey native drew worldwide attention for her performance in Oklahoma on Broadway in 2019, becoming the first actress who uses a wheelchair to win a Tony Award.
Tell me what that moment was like for you.
I still think back and I'm like, was that a dream? It was just so exciting and so special, and it changed my life.
How significant and how important is it to you in your life that you have this place and you have this platform to affect the lives of other people?
It's really, really important that we see authentic representation in our lives and for the disabled community. And so I feel a great responsibility to do that.
Using a wheelchair since early childhood, she says support from her parents and the Ridgewood community while growing up made all the difference in realizing her dream of success on stage. John Bathke, News 12, New Jersey.
Culture.
Hi, News 12. I just won The Voice.
Community.
The first shot went into the arm of Port Washington nurse Sandra Lindsay.
Connections.
Seems like so much fun.
It was pretty hectic.
Discover News 12 New York.
Hey, look, we're happy, right?
A new way to see the best of News 12's local channels from across the tri-state area, all in one place. Now streaming 24/7 on your favorite devices. Discover News 12 New York today.
You would not believe the number of myths and rumors about the COVID-19 vaccine. Many of them are downright untrue, and my guest today is going to try to help us understand better. Dr. Ali, we're so happy to have you. We know you're in Danbury today, but tell us a little more about your company.
So we are an AFC Urgent Care, New England. We are a franchise with an AFC corporate down in Alabama. So we see a lot of patients every day.
Talk about some of the myths and rumors concerning the vaccine. One of them is it could change your DNA.
Absolutely not. So this vaccine is a messenger RNA vaccine. Basically, it goes into your body and then produce the protein, which mimic the spike protein of the virus, using your own biological material, your own the material that is there. From that spike protein, which is being produced, our body is going to produce the immunity.
The myth that it's a live vaccine that you will get.
No, it is not a live vaccine. So it has no particles of the actual COVID-19 virus at all.
What about the myth that it could make you infertile?
There is no data available right now, and I don't think that is, as I said, that this the messenger RNA do not go into our DNA to change anything if it is not crossing that nuclear membrane. And I don't think there is really scientific proof that this can change any of genetic material and can make you infertile.
Now, talk about what you would tell a patient who's a little skeptical about getting the vaccine versus getting COVID.
That's very interesting questions. So getting a COVID is as far as the data, what's available right now is that by the natural immunity, we are protected for 90 days. So we don't know if our immunity will last longer than the 90 days or not with the natural disease. And of course, natural disease can be lethal, and then particularly the people who are at higher risk, they can die from that disease. And with the vaccine, you are not going to have any viral infection. Of course, it's a vaccine that's going to give you a little bit of a fever, headache, and the body ache for a day or two, which is actually a proof that vaccine is working.
More now in the search for a cure. Could giving a certain amount of blood thinners to patients with COVID-19 help reduce the risk of death? News 12's Eileen LaPalmer tells us doctors at Stony Brook University say yes. She has more in this story you'll see only on 12.
I used to be spry as a chicken.
Gail Rooney of Medford says everyone tells her she's special and lucky to be alive. That's because in the last year, at the age of 75, she survived cancer, COVID-19, a stroke, and a blood clot.
I had no feeling in my left foot.
Last year, Rooney was intubated in the ICU at Stony Brook University Hospital. While she doesn't remember any of it, her doctors have told her she was given a treatment of blood thinners.
COVID creates a situation where thrombosis is more common.
Dr. Apostolos Tassiopoulos led a study last March at Stony Brook University Hospital looking at exactly that, the correlation between COVID, blood clots, and the use of blood thinners. Other studies have used a standard dose of blood thinners, but at Stony Brook, the doctors were adjusting the level of blood thinners to correlate with the level of blood clotting in the patients. And the results, they say, more people survived. According to the study, 27% of the people receiving the treatment died, as compared to 58% of the people who did not receive the treatment.
I think that the public is aware of the detrimental thrombotic complications. The Nick Cordero story, is the one that stands out. We have looked at things that work and at things that didn't work, and we have stuck with those things that clearly make a difference.
And for Rooney, she can now focus on getting back to the things that matter in her life.
I want to see my family. I want to be around to see my grandchildren.
Eileen LaPalmer, News 12, Long Island.
Well, more than 200 patients were involved in this study, and this anticoagulation therapy is now standard at Stony Brook.
Well, nothing says winter like a big bowl of chili, and we're going to learn how to make a delicious one. So let's head over to Giovanni of Uncle Giuseppe's Marketplace, and he's going to show us. Hey, Giovanni.
Today we're making a turkey chili. It's a healthier version of chili. So we'll start with extra virgin olive oil, and I'm gonna cook off my turkey. And what we wanna do is we wanna just brown this off, and then we're gonna start incorporating our flavors. I'm gonna throw garlic in there, because it's Giovanni, you gotta have garlic, right? Some white onion, a poblano pepper, chili powder, and then we're gonna put some ancho chili powder. We're gonna move this all around, and it's gonna change color. It's starting to look like chili. I'm gonna hit it with some salt and pepper. Then I'm gonna take some chicken stock, get those spices working. And now, black beans. And we're just about done here, Lil. But I got a trick up my sleeve.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What I do with my chili is I add some salsa to it. And you may call it cheating, you may say shortcut. I call it delicious. Now I'm gonna plate this like my kids like it. Piled up high, cheddar cheese, and a dollop of sour cream. That looks delicious. Dinner bell, Lil.
That looks so amazing, Giovanni. And if you'd like to try this really easy recipe, head to our website, news12.com. You'll find it there. Giovanni, thank you.
Thank you, Lil.
Well, in honor of Black History Month, we are showcasing a Black-owned business in northern Westchester.
Yeah, you're about to meet a Chappaqua man who reinvented himself after losing his job because of the pandemic.
As Michelle Brown shows us, he turned a flicker of an idea into a thriving business.
So think of a cathedral in Sicily in spring or summer.
Teron Richardson always loved fragrances and candles.
And as it burns, it starts to crackle.
Since he was a kid.
And as a present, like for birthdays or graduation or Christmas, I always ask for a cologne or a perfume that was on my list.
After losing his job at a high-end home decor company at the start of the pandemic,
Hi, Wendy. I had to pivot into this correctly.
he decided to put fear aside and start his own e-commerce, eco-friendly candle business.
I was not into owning my own business. I always thought of it, but not something I was ready to do right away, and this was the perfect timing for me. I had nothing else to do.
The business took off.
This is Bonbonniere.
Richardson moved to Chappaqua last summer for more space. Stores like Rock's at Chappaqua Crossing now carry his products. He even named a candle after his new hometown and another for his place of birth, the beautiful Caribbean island of Anguilla.
Very ozone, sea salt, fresh, clean. It was just something to tie my roots into the brand so it's a little bit more personal. It's not just, oh, here's a scented candle. They all have a story.
So what's next for this candle maker? You guessed it, expanding the business to fragrances.
We're testing out perfumes, so our best selling scents are going to be transformed to the perfumes.
A pandemic pivot that has the sweet smell of success. In Chappaqua, Michelle Brown, News 12.
Well, Richardson says he learned all he could about candle making from YouTube. His luxury candles start at $45.
As if driving on the George Washington Bridge wasn't already stressful, a couple from Essex County went into labor when they were crossing it. And that baby turns a month old today. News 12 New Jersey's Christy Kalishian tells their remarkable story tonight in Fort Lee.
Just on the other side of the bridge, Jordan Harris Goldfarb was born out of his dad's passenger seat of the car. And they tell me that it was scary, it was traumatic, but at the same time, it was unforgettable. And might I just add that the North Caldwell couple was COVID positive during the time that the baby was delivered.
So I was screaming to my husband to basically call 911, call 911.
The 911 operator said to me, like, sir, you need to pull over this car and deliver this baby. And I stopped for a second and I was like, wait a second, did I really just hear that?
Baby Jordan and his parents are healthy and happy now, a month after going into active labor on the GWB on their way to Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan.
It was an extremely scary, traumatic experience, but I am so happy that obviously we're all safe and healthy.
I'm by trade an attorney. I'm not a doctor, and I have no medical training. But you know, thank God, I think human instincts kind of kick in at that moment.
Allison was a week away from her due date, and the couple was 12 days into their COVID positive diagnoses. Goldfarb's contractions were getting worse as the baby was already slowly making his first appearance as the drive went on. EMTs arrived just after Blake helped deliver the healthy baby.
It's an incredible experience to deliver your own child. And it's something that I think that many parents would be fearful of. But at the same time, it's probably the most rewarding thing that I've ever had to deal with in my life. And it's something that I'll remember forever.
And Jordan Harris Goldfarb is named after Allison's younger brother who passed away at 3 years old, and it was Joshua Harrison. So it's very sweet to see that this baby kind of just lives on from her little brother who died of leukemia when he was younger. And of course, Liv, Jordan's older sister, is very happy to be a big sister. She's 20 months old, and she just loves it. She calls Jordan her best friend. And that's the latest that we have here in Fort Lee. Christy Kalishian, News 12, New Jersey. Back to you.
Christy, thank you. Congratulations to the new larger family. And our look at Black History Month in Connecticut continues now with the story of a local fight over slavery that took place long before the Civil War. News 12 Connecticut's Suzanne Goldklang with that story from Wilton.
Some of Wilton's history is easy to see. Quaint buildings sitting on the town's main roads. But you may not know this place was once home to a struggle over slavery.
There is this legacy of slavery that people don't necessarily get taught growing up, and it's easy to sort of forget about it.
A deed of sale from an unnamed slave hangs on the wall of the Wilton Historical Society. Interest in the subject spiked last summer.
And unfortunately, it takes an event like George Floyd to get people interested. But while people are, we want to make sure that they're receptive to this history.
Young people looking to connect the present to the past.
The Black Lives Matter protests, that's what really brought the need for our own version of truth and reconciliation.
Beginning in the early 1700s, enslaved people worked in some of Wilton's wealthiest homes, though in smaller numbers than the South.
The English-speaking colonists that arrived saw cheap labor and free labor and took advantage of it.
Not everyone approved. This house on Sealy Road was a stop on the Underground Railroad. You can see a tunnel in a photo.
There was a big push for abolition in Wilton and in Connecticut.
Connecticut began gradual abolition in 1784, but in Wilton and elsewhere, slavery lingered for decades.
It's not just that we have a history that is uncomfortable of slavery in town. We also have people who did the right thing.
One thing that sets Wilton's history apart is how violent the battle over slavery became. In 1838, anti-abolitionists set off 2 bombs, the first at the Georgetown Baptist Church, the second here on Pimpawog Road.
This was front page news in Wilton to have an attack like this. It was a huge deal.
10 years later, Connecticut outlawed slavery, more than a decade before the Civil War.
Jack was actually the son of the last enslaved woman in Wilton.
While photos and artifacts are rare,
Slavery ends in Connecticut before photography can really document a lot of these people.
the quest to learn more continues.
I would love to track some of those relatives down, to give them the opportunity to speak to us about what happened to their ancestors.
In Wilton, Suzanne Goldklang, News 12 Connecticut.
During this Dominican Heritage Month, the Dominican Writers Association starting a whole discussion about the island's connection to the African diaspora and its history. News 12's Christy Reeder has more on how you can get involved on this conversation.
Angela Abreu loves a good book. When finding new ones to read, though, the writer herself realized a need.
As a young adult in college, I wasn't reading Latino authors, let alone Dominican authors.
In 2015, she decided to form the Dominican Writers Association, a way to highlight Dominican authors.
My idea was to create a platform where I could give them visibility.
It has evolved to something much bigger, helping authors publish and connecting with people, including City University of New York professor Remy Salas, who saw the connection between Dominican history and its roots to African and Black culture.
We're just trying to make sure that we educate our people the right way, because we do have a beautiful culture. And we do share attributes with other cultures that should be highlighted.
A discussion they felt appropriate to start during Black History Month.
So Black History Month is very important to me, as well as the Dominican Independence, which is the February 27th of this month as well. So this just falls right on time.
We are inaugurating our Dominican History book club with Remy. And the first book that Remy chose was The Black Jacobins.
The reason why I chose this is because so many of us, so many of the Dominican people of the Black diaspora, African diaspora, were born outside of the island and know very little of the book or their own history and their roots. And this book kind of speaks on the struggle for freedom.
And on Wednesday, you can join a discussion on this book too by heading to their website. Christy Reeder, News 12.
A local nonprofit organization is helping struggling mothers and families by providing free diapers and personal hygiene products. News 12's Carmen Grant introducing us to the founder who started the company after her own personal struggles.
Chantel Allison Conte knows firsthand the hardships of being a struggling mom.
I know what it is to experience diaper need.
She became pregnant after graduating from college and didn't have extra money to buy diapers until a friend stepped in to help. Years later, Conte paying it forward.
Here you go.
Through her organization, Her Village Inc., a not-for-profit that provides free diapers and menstrual products to struggling mothers.
A lot of families have to choose between food or diapers or period supplies and an extra pack of meat, so we try to fill in the gap where we can.
Allison Herwood picking up a size 4 diaper pack for her 1-year-old great niece, who she has custody of.
Any help that I can get that I don't have to pay for is a blessing.
In less than a year, Her Village Inc. has given out more than 100,000 free diapers, as well as feminine hygiene products to families throughout the city.
It's not a very big shelf, but we try to get things in and out the door quickly.
But since the pandemic, the need for these basic essentials have grown. We spoke with Ecstasy Matthews, who is currently living in a shelter with her 2 young children. She just started using the services last month.
I'm able to reach out for items that I need.
Besides diapers and menstrual products, Her Village Inc. also providing free diaper bags.
Super good for like traveling in the city.
As well as items for potty training. The company is funded through grants and community donations and also receives supplies through its website.
You could see we're a verified charity and you can donate any of these items.
Conte says as long as there's a need in the community, she'll be there reaching out to struggling families.
A lot of people say like it takes a village, and it's like, yeah, but like we need to actually be the village.
Carmen Grant, News 12.
Here's a photo
For its time, this is a very progressive depiction.
that hangs on a wall at the Westchester County Airport.
Times were different.
Taken in 1954, the same year the Supreme Court ordered schools in the South be desegregated.
Do you feel it's worth it going through this?
Yes. While much further north in the Hudson Valley,
My grandfather is obviously the only person of color in this photo.
an African-American man in a position of power training white men to fly.
He was a pioneer.
Archie Smith is Colin Smith's grandfather.
It's a real point of pride for me.
And for the past 10 years, the Westchester County legislator has been on a mission to uncover Archie's career in the sky. To find out how a son of a former slave with a 9th grade education could leave Texas and Jim Crow South to found a flight school called Warhawk Aviation Club at the Westchester County Airport.
This is a bit of a mix of family memorabilia here.
Newspaper clippings and black and white photos chart Archie's rise. And perhaps no one appreciates this collection more than Colin's father, David Smith.
My father is right here.
David, taken under his father's wing, learning to navigate the clouds by the time he was 14 years old.
He felt that we should do anything to, and when I say anything, anything to better ourselves.
But before Archie landed in Westchester, he heard the call to war. The man who learned to soar to new heights on Long Island put his gift of aviation to work during World War II.
He was, a crucial part of that effort.
The famous Tuskegee Airmen, the first black pilots in the U.S. military, playing a pivotal role towards ending segregation in the armed forces. Archie trained about 200 of them.
They were trailblazers, they were pioneers. They were, people like my grandfather were people that showed that even under most horrific circumstances, that progress can and will be made.
A legacy rooted in American history.
It tells the story of who we are.
Black history.
It's important that we, reference and remember that history and honor that history.
The legacy of a man who had the nerve to dream. Nadia Galindo, News 12.